Mysterio is talking to himself about his model fairground and his helmet with psychedelic powers, and how he'll be using both to teach Spider-Man a lesson. He then explains to himself how he escaped from prison using drugs from the pharmacy to create smoke and escaping on top of a bus. And now that he's free, he'll commission a crime colourful enough to draw the attention of Spider-Man so that he can finally destroy the web slinger. We're reading every Spider-Man ever, and this is Amazing Spider-Man issue 66, The Madness of Mysterio. Meanwhile and elsewhere, Peter Parker is returning to the scene of his fight with the Vulture to recover his clothes and his camera. He's worried about Jonah, who thinks Peter ran away, and he's worried about Gwen, who still isn't speaking to him, and he's worried about Aunt May, who he hasn't seen for days, and he's worried about Norman Osborn, who could become the Green Goblin at any time, although if you were here last week you know that he already did. And to make matters worse, Peter's shirt was torn in the fight. Peter decides to tackle his Jonah worry first, and he goes to the Bugle to sell his pictures of the Vulture. But Jonah doesn't need Peter the coward. He had a star photographer take pictures of the fight, and so Jonah kicks Peter out and then is distraught to learn that the star photographer was scared and shaking, and all the photographs are unusable. And Peter, unaware of Jonah's change of mind, sells his motorcycle to get some money. All of a sudden, out of some smoke, Mysterio appears on the street. He makes a big fuss, drawing attention to himself, before disappearing once again in smoke. But Peter can sense him still, using his spider sense, but he decides to let the police handle it. It's not like anyone is in trouble, and it seems that he's the one that gets in trouble every time he chases these villains, and so he doesn't notice that Mysterio is under his feet in the sewers, annoyed that Spider-Man hasn't shown. Peter's next worry is soon dismissed when Gwen Stacy finds him and explains that her dad remembered everything. They both declare their love for each other, they hug, and then they head to a cafe where they can stare into each other's eyes. And elsewhere across town, George Stacy is meeting with Robbie Robertson for lunch. The two of them have a very special interest in Spider-Man, and they're starting to suspect that they might know him in some way. Later, after unsuccessfully helping Harry look for his father, Peter decides to pay May a visit, the last of his 4 worries. But as he gets close to the door, he hears his aunt cry out in alarm. Concerned for her safety, he smashes down the door to find that she's just shocked by the TV. Mysterio is on the news, using effects to make it look like he's destroying a bridge, and promising to do it for real if Spider-Man doesn't show at the place they first met. Aunt May all but faints at the idea that men like Mysterio and Spider-Man even exist, so Peter leaves her on the sofa and races away, and I guess leaves the door broken? As Spider-Man, he swings to that warehouse that he first met Mysterio and rips open the door, the second door that he breaks this issue. Inside, he finds Mysterio, who mocks Spidey and then vanishes into some smoke. Smoke that disables Spider-Man's spider sense enough for Mysterio to get some punches in. When Spidey leaps free of the smoke, Mysterio points to his model fairground, the site of Spidey's demise apparently, and then shoots our hero with some kind of laser gun. Spider-Man dodges the blast because that's what he does, but the laser gets close enough and Spidey falls down dizzy, feeling like he's falling towards the model fairground. When he comes to, he's surrounded by a full-size fairground and a giant Mysterio, who informs Spidey that he's been shrunk to just 6 inches high. Thanks for watching and joining me on this journey to read every Spider-Man ever. If you'd like to support what I do, you can get early access to episodes on Patreon or by becoming a member here on YouTube. Next week, Peter Parker learns all about his parents, but while we wait for that issue, here's a fun fact about this one. In the letters section of this issue, Stan Lee decides that they're not going to write answers to the letters anymore. Just print more letters in the space, and they'll expect fans to answer fans. He takes a moment to ask people to let him know what they feel about the change, but they clearly don't like it, because the letter responses return 4 issues later.